Hello and welcome back to the Washington College Sports Spotlight Series. I'm Nick Lewis here with you, and joining me today is Julianna Sterling, Jr. from the Washington College field hockey team. Julianna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. So one thing to talk about as we start here is that you had an opportunity that not everybody gets to have, and that's being able to study abroad in Africa. Before we even talk about the field hockey side of things, if you don't mind, take a minute and talk about your experiences with that trip.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess the reason I chose Senegal specifically was because they offered a program in international development. And through the economics department here at WAC, I've kind of found my way into that path, doing an international studies major as well. And it's just been really cool to see the intersection of those two departments, seeing economic development in other countries. So when I saw that this program partnered with WAC and the University of Minnesota, and they sent kids to a country in Africa, I was like, okay, this sounds great. Sign me up. Like, I really want to do this. So that's how I found my way there. And while I was there, I was studying, economic development, but I had a focus on microfinance. So I was looking at small banks and, helping the poorest populations in the world really have access to financial resources. So that was super cool. And I got to work on my French skills as well, because they all speak French there. And it was just such an awesome experience to have, really.
So from that trip, if you don't mind, or if there's any that stand out, talk about some of your favorite moments or favorite memories that you made.
Yeah. So with the program, we had a little it wasn't spring break technically, but it was like a mini break in the middle of our classes. We got to go out. We left the city, so we spent most of our time in the city, the capital city, Dakar, and we got to leave for a week and go visit some villages in more rural parts of Senegal. So we were in the Kaolack region, and it's on a river delta. It was absolutely gorgeous, tons of mangroves, all kinds of stuff. And we got to visit the villages, and we got to see, public health posts. So, the makeshift hospitals that they have access to there. We got to see a women's garden, which was so neat. That was probably my favorite part of the whole trip. Yeah, we got to talk to a lot of people, visit a lot of people. We got to see a women's microfinance institution specifically. So that was really nice as well to see that gender specific opportunity. So yeah, I think that was probably my favorite part of the whole trip.
And now turning things back to the field hockey side, just to give a brief overview, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how the 2022 season went for you guys and some of your thoughts on how that went.
Yeah, I think it's been really cool to see our program grow since my freshman year. Annie Keatsman, she's starting to establish herself here. I think her first year was the year before I came in as a freshman. So she had been fairly new. And she's getting settled now. And I think that it's really cool to see our stats increase with the program as she's been here. So I have a lot of faith for this coming season. If we chip away at 2, 3 more teams and we can get a few more wins, I think that we could definitely make it to the conference playoffs and maybe, see a lot of growth in our program. I have a lot of faith in that. And I'm super excited for my senior season with them. I can't wait.
So, like you said, stepping into your senior season with the Shore Women with the program, I guess how are you feeling? Getting ready to take that next step, being the ultimate upperclassman, really, or in that group on the team. I guess what has your journey been like as a Shore Woman over the last 4 years?
Oh, it's been super chaotic with COVID and everything. It was really upsetting to be, kicked off campus freshman year, and then sophomore year we played in the spring, which was not what the field hockey team normally does. So I was glad that we were there in the spring, but it was a little weird because not all the girls came back that semester, and it was like we were playing in the middle of winter, which is not something I'm used to at all. So this past year has really been the first year the program has had fully. And I wasn't there for the spring for that to do like off-season training and everything, unfortunately. So I'm playing a little bit of catch up right now, working on my stick skills, getting my strength back. But I am super excited for the fall. It's coming up. Yeah, I can't wait.
Let's rewind the clock a little bit. Coming out of James and Bennett High School, what were some of the things that drew you to Washington College and to this field hockey program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think coming out of Bennett, it was a high school with around 1,000 kids. So kind of similar size to WAC. And initially, if you would have asked me when I was 16, I would have said, I'm going to a big school. I'm not going to a school in the same state where I grew up. Like, there's no way you couldn't pay me enough to do that. But I don't know. I came to visit WAC and I talked to our coach Annie, and it just, I don't know, it really fit. You walk on campus and you. And I really had that feeling. And talking to the girls on the field hockey team, it was just like everyone really cared about who you are, and they care about seeing what your interests are, and they care about seeing your growth. And that's evident on the field hockey program, that's evident on campus academically, and it's evident just in the Chestertown community as well. There's so many opportunities that anyone can take part in, and it's really special to be a part of that. And I think you could tell when you do one of those tours as a senior in high school.
Moving into your senior season, looking at next year for the team, what are some of the ways that you saw the team grow last season, and what are some of the things that you're hoping your squad can carry into this coming year?
Yeah, so I think at the start of the season last year, we were working on a lot of formation changes. We adjusted from a diamond into a different position, into a different field positioning. So we've been working on that. And then we also lost like a few numbers just with graduating classes and stuff. So we are a fairly small team right now. And I think we have 10 girls at the moment, and we're bringing in, I think, 12 or 13 freshmen. So I'm very excited to see how they change our dynamic on the field. And I think that they have a lot of skill that they're going to bring in. And I always love having a big freshman class. I was a big freshman class myself. And I think that it just brings like a lot of youth and a lot of excitement to the team. And I think that that is going to be something super, super valuable to us come August.
So to shift gears a little bit, you mentioned it a little bit when we talked about your trip to Senegal, but talk about your academics at Washington, what you're majoring in, and you have a little bit more of a jump on it than some students might. But any post grad plans you might have?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I came into WAC. I knew I wanted to travel. That was it. That was all I knew. I was like, okay, when I'm a big kid, I want to have a job where I can travel and I can see a bunch of places. So I picked the international studies major initially. And the way that major works is it exposes you to a ton of departments. So you have to take like foreign language credits, you have to take economics, you have to take poli sci credits. And out of those, I ended up really loving the French department when I took classes with them. And then I also ended up loving, economics, just the department and also as a subject. So economics really became the core of my studies here at WAC. And I held on to all three of those as majors because the way the IS major works is there's a lot of overlap. So I can take, I can take economic development with the econ department, and it also counts towards the IS major. And the same thing goes for French as well. So that's been working out really well. And then as far as post-grad plans go, I am kind of swaying because I love school. You can kind of tell just by the way I run my resume and everything. But I am pretty torn between going to grad school and accepting a job in international development. I've been really fortunate to take on a internship with RTI this summer, and I'm working in their international development department. So that's been a super cool experience so far. I'm only a few weeks in, but I have got to touch a lot of projects and stuff. And it's really cool to see how an international development institution can touch a ton of different places around the world in, a matter of weeks. So I don't know, I have to decide, but it's going to be one of those two options for sure, taking on a job with RTI or going to grad school.
If you don't mind, as much as you can, a few weeks in, talk about some of the things you've been doing over there and some of the things you hope to do this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am working with their pricing department. So I'm working on a lot of budgeting for all of the projects that they do. So the way that their department works at RTI is the government will put out these contracts and they say like, hey, we're doing this project in this country where we're going to be working, in this industry. And they just send it out to the public, and anyone can apply to be the company that like executes this project. So RTI is one of those companies that will send in an application and they have to say, we have these connections in this country, we can do it for this price, and we can do it in this amount of time. And so I am working with the people that will put together the pricing on that and say, hey, we can get water to this village in this country for this amount of money. So it's been really cool because I get to touch, so many different countries doing this, and budgeting hasn't always been my forte, but I'm learning a lot very quickly.
So I guess just to wrap up here, we touched on it a little bit, but overall, what are your goals, both either for yourself or for the team, or any mixture of both, for next season?
At Washington College, I've found that both on the field hockey team and just on campus in general, community is super important to everyone. So, specifically with the field hockey program, it's really important to know that all of the girls have each other's back academically, athletically, and just as people in general. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to building with all those incoming freshmen that I mentioned. And then also just, I wasn't here this past semester, so I'm really excited to be back with the girls and like hang out with them all the time. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Julianna Sterling, thanks again for stopping by the spotlight.
Thanks for having me.